Welcome to this free immigration help channel. Today is March 16, 2023, and we are getting into the volume 33 of me answering your immigration related questions. Before I start, I'm going to mention I am not an immigration attorney. This is not a legal advice. All the information that I provide in the videos on this channel are directly from the official government sources like USCIS, Department of State. Before we begin, I wanted to thank everyone who is a sponsor of this channel. If you're not a sponsor, please consider joining the membership on this channel. It really does help grow, and of course with the growth of this channel I am able to provide a little bit more help for people. So without further ado, let's get into the very first comment from Pauline Liverpool Thomas. Pauline, thank you very much for following up. I really appreciate everyone following up whenever I'm requesting additional information. It definitely helps. So Pauline says, thank you for your response. You're very welcome. The response requested is the marriage certificate from my first marriage. I had only sent the death certificate. It's an I-130 application, U.S. citizen filing for spouse. Pauline, really appreciate the details. So whenever it comes to the USCIS, the good thing about USCIS, at least in most of the cases, personally, in my experience of all the cases that I've seen, I haven't yet seen a denial specifically on I-130 if there is the evidence that if there's a certain evidence or supporting documentation that has not been provided. Now, I've seen denials where USCIS requests additional documents and they're not provided and there is a denial, but never just because, oh, you know, we didn't receive this document, so it's a denial. So if they do need anything else, they will request it. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. However, I wanted to say, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, actually, let me do that. We're going to go to USCIS. I'm going to show, if you know, whoever else is watching, if you're not familiar, checking the processing times with USCIS just yet, there you go. This is the official USCIS government website. So we're going to go to case status online. It's taking a little bit while to load today for whatever reason. It's maybe too early. I want to see what is the normal processing time for US citizens inviting the spouse. So we're going to select I-130 and then US citizen for a spouse. I believe it's about 10 months across the different service centers, but let's check. So California got 10.5 months, Texas got 11.5 months, and then Vermont, I'm gonna check the third one to kind of get the overall 16 months. Okay, so it's about a year basically. So another recommendation I would say, Pauline, if you still have some processing time left, right? If you still have, you know, another 6 months, another 5 months for processing of your case with USCIS, I would recommend, just for your own peace of mind, write the cover letter, a simple cover letter, from to, basically explaining the situation. Say that, hey, with the initial application, I did not provide this additional evidence, the marriage certificate, and send them the copy of the marriage certificate. That way you will have the peace of mind, not thinking that, hey, one day somebody decides in USCIS to, deny this case because there is not enough evidence, even though they usually don't. But again, just for a peace of mind, to stay on top of it might be a good thing to do. All right, so I'm going to pause this and we're going to move on to the next comment from Red Number. Hey sir, in what year, January 2011, will get welcome letter for I-130 F3 category? Appreciate your reply. All right, Red Number, let's take a look. I got the, nope, not this one. I'm going to close this. Got the visa bulletin for March 2023 open. This is the most recent one that they have so far on Department of State's website. So we're gonna go down to the graph B, which is dates for filing, and the F3 category is the married sons and daughters of US citizens. So F3 and the 4 category, they are the longest that on the list, unfortunately. So as you can see right now, as of March 2023, they're processing the files, the cases that have been received in November 2009, meaning that between 2011, okay, so you January 2011, so about 2 years you have left. So 2025, around 2025, I mean, you really are getting there. I mean, you've been waiting for a very, very long time now. But you're getting there. About 2 more years, and that immigrant visa should be available for your beneficiary. All right, moving further to Healthy You and Me. My brother, a US citizen, applied I-130 F4 for me in 2013 in California Service Center. He has moved to Texas from Chicago a few years back. Will my case be moved from California Service Center to Texas Service Center? Excellent question. Thank you for really great to bring this up. So whenever it comes to the move, because the service centers, they have their kind of like a jurisdiction for certain states. If your brother, I think you said your brother, right? Yes, your brother. If he moved and he already submitted that address change with USCIS, and if the case is still with USCIS, which is what it sounds like, then they will be updating in their internal system the address, and they will be transferring the case from the California Service Center to the Texas Service Center. And you know what? I'm gonna go back to the processing times. Probably should have kept this open. And we're gonna go to I-130 because I want to see the difference between the two. And I'm thinking it might have been already. Let's see. It says filing for Minnesota, filing for brother or sister. All right. So we got California Service Center, 140 months. So I got my handy calculator right here. 140 months divided by 12 because my math is horrible. So that's about 12 years, 11.6. And then the Texas, 32 months. Okay, so that is a huge difference. Now, again, this is not the availability of immigrant visas, all right? So I know some people are watching, and that's really one of the difference. That's why you see some people whose case has been already transferred to NVC and they're already documentarily qualified, and others are still waiting because for whatever reason, some USCIS service centers, they decide to hold on to the case until the immigrant visa becomes available closer to the availability of the immigrant visa. And some, they just process everything on their end and then they transfer it to the Department of State. I don't know why they do it. I don't know why there's such a difference, but I think this is much better because if your case is transferred to the NVC, you can get it documentarily qualified, and just knowing that you're all done on your part, just waiting, all right? And I mean, documentarily qualified, I'm saying like you're going to be doing it. It's actually your brother going to be doing it because he is the petitioner. But still, it's nice to know that everything is done on your end. All the documents are, received by the NVC. They reviewed it and everything good. So it's definitely a good move. Just as long as your brother submitted that address change request, and I've actually done a separate video specifically on the address change with USCIS. It should be already transferred, and he should be receiving that, hopefully, the approval from USCIS side, because it's been already definitely way beyond the normal processing time, specifically for the Texas Service Center, not for California Service Center. All right, let's move on to the next one from Praveen Bhaskar. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing the names. Is there a fee for I-864 when filing within US? If so, when should it be paid? Great question, Praveen. So I-864 is, I believe the proper name is Affidavit of Support, and you submit it. Let me just double check that to be sure. We're gonna go into the forms in USCIS, and interestingly, while this is a USCIS form, there you go. So it is Affidavit of Support. That's what it's called. Okay, good. So while it is an immigration form from USCIS, you actually don't fill it out on the USCIS side at all. If you want to look up some details on it, you definitely can, and you can find this page by finding the form, find the details on it, but you will be filling it out on the NVC side. So once your case is transferred from USCIS to the Department of State, you will have the access to the NVC portal, and that is when you're going to be filling out this form. Now, if you're filling out from the outside of the United States, it's free. If you're filling out from here, NVC portal, there is a fee. It's pretty sure it's $120, but again, you really don't have to worry about filling it out separately, because once your I-130 is approved by USCIS and your case is transferred to the NVC, once you log into that NVC portal, you will see all of these forms, all of this documentation that you have to provide. You won't be able to miss it, basically. And you will see the fees right there, and there will be a separate link to fill out the application, that affidavit. There will be a few applications there, a few things that you'll have to fill out. And you will have a separate link to pay those things. And without it, you will see, it's very clear, there will be a status bar showing if it was completed or not. So don't worry about it too much. It's all in the NVC. I'm pretty sure it's $120. Once you get there, if you can come back and let us know, just because I personally, because I have a alien relative petition myself that I have been waiting on for a very long time, and I will be waiting for a very, very long time. So it's been a while since I paid that fee, but I'm pretty sure it was $120. All right, let's move on to the next one from Fernando Blanco. I should be more clear in my question. Sorry, no worries at all, Fernando, no worries. So I applied to bring my fiance K3 visa, and I give to USCIS my physical address. But also my mailing address is a PO box. Aha, I see now. So now when I try to change my address because I move, in old address need to put my physical address or for, yes, okay, perfect. Yes, so it's definitely going to be the physical address. Fernando, thank you very much for clarifying that. Definitely makes it easy. Again, I appreciate everyone, for not just asking the question, but actually, following it up and staying on top of it. That really means a lot to me. That really means that what I'm doing, the work that I'm putting into this channel, it's not in vain. All right, let's move on to the next one from HP. Do you have the same name on CBP and USCIS? So CBP, Customs and Border Protection, USCIS, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to, but yes, obviously you should have a same name on both the CBP and USCIS, because once you come into the country, the CBP issues you your I-94, and then the I-94 record is, continues to be with the Customs and Border Protection. And if you're filling out any kind of application with USCIS, you will be referring back to that I-94 arrival departure record from the CBP. So it should be the same name on both. But if you could clarify your question a little bit, specifically what you're referring to, that would be helpful. I might be able to provide a little bit more information. All right, some love from Smira. Thank you very much, Smira. Appreciate it. Appreciate you watching. Moving further to Jackie Velasquez. My green card nunca le... Okay, so if you're watching, again, if you can translate this, I'm gonna leave it. I'm not gonna put anything, so it's still here. For whatever reason, I'm gonna mention this. If you're new, if you haven't watched any of the videos before on this channel, for some reason, if you're responding, let's say I put a response on this comment, right? If you're responding in the comment to my comment, sorry, it sounds confusing, but if you're responding to my comment within your comment, all right? For whatever reason, I don't get those notifications. Your responses to my comments, they do not show up on this wall. I don't know why, something with YouTube. Hopefully they will address it. But if you are providing additional information, or if you have additional question, make sure to post a separate comment. All right, so let's move on. If you can respond to this, though, I'm gonna keep it up. You can respond to this with the translation. I will still see it because I'm not addressing it, so I will keep it like that. Okay, moving further to Boss Mai. Thank you so much for answering my question. It helped a lot. More power. Thank you very much, Boss Mai, for asking your question in the first place. Moving further to Millicent W. Always informative. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it. All right, next one from 2009, Grasmere. So can only the US citizen create the USCIS account to file the forms? Can the beneficiary, who in my case is remote, also sign into the account to help complete the form? Can the form be somewhat completed and then saved so that on another day more info can be added? My spouse is a little unsure as to how to create account and fill things out. Thanks, sir. Another great video. Thank you, sir, for watching. Always appreciate your watching and asking the questions. So you actually brought up a really, really good point. I've never mentioned it before, and I think that is a really, really huge plus with the it's two benefits of the online form that I've never mentioned before. And you brought it up. And the good part of it is that, yes, you can fill it out and you can save your progress, and then you can come back later to it, which is awesome. Really, really convenient. But also, you can share this form between the people if they are in another country. So you're doing your part, you're filling out your part. If you do need help, the information from the beneficiary, instead of being on the phone, hey, can you find this form? Can you tell me, can you spell this? Potential for mistakes. Instead of that, you just give them the access to your online account, and in your case, it's your spouse. So it's not like you're sharing it with a stranger, right? So definitely huge benefit. And yes, you can definitely do that. No problems at all. Let me see if you had anything else that I have missed. Can the beneficiary is removed to sign in? Yes, they definitely can. Can the form be somewhat completed and saved? Yes, definitely can. And then more info can be added. Yes, also to create account. Yeah, so you can create account on your end. You'll have to use your email, password, obviously, and then create the form. Basically, once you log in, you probably already done it by now. You asked me 2 days ago. So you probably already have the online account, but once you log into the USCIS online account, if anybody else is watching and they're interested, you will have this drop-down menu of all the forms that are available to be filed online. Just select the form. In your case, it's going to be I-130. You'll start filling it out. You will have an option to save it. Once it is completed, you will have an additional basically field where you can upload all the documents for your case in the electronic format. Once you do that, it will have an option to pay for the form. Once you pay it, it's automatically submitted, and that's it. The USCIS, they already have it. So no delay in mailing. Definitely convenient, and yeah, there's definitely a lot of benefits whenever it comes to filing the forms online. All right, let's move on to the next question from Krishna Akunuri. How about, actually, Krishna, I want to say thank you very much for being publicly subscribed. This is what this icon means. I really appreciate it. How about H4 visa candidates? Can they fill this form? So she asked, Krishna, I'm very sorry, Krishna. I'm pretty sure that's a female name, but I'm not gonna put myself in an awkward position. But can they? So the person Krishna asked the question on I-765 application for employment authorization document. So H4 visa is a dependent for H1 visa category. Can they fill this form? Initiated the green card process. Okay, so already initiated the green card process, but it's still in phase 2 without EAD and just on the basis of H4. Can we apply to this and get work? Okay, so whenever it comes to the basically H4, they do have eligibility for the employment authorization document. There are two separate eligibility requirements. One is this 21st century Department of Justice, some kind of act that they passed. All right, so it's kind of very narrow. But another one which is much more popular is if there is a form I-140 immigrant petition for alien worker, and if it is already going and if it has been approved. All right, so you said that it's on phase 2, so you will have to wait for the approved. Once it is approved, you will be able to apply for the employment authorization document. So I'm gonna post this right here, and we're gonna move on to the next one. Next question again from 2009 Grasmere. Great video, sir. Thank you for watching. At 6:10 in the video, you say to make the package as strong as possible, but all the I-130 is a bunch of questions about addresses and work history, etc. How can I make it stronger than to just answer the questions? It's electronic. Unless there was a part in the I-130 that I missed. Thanks so much for all your available info. Okay, great question, 2009 Grasmere. So I already kind of briefly mentioned it in your previous response. So once you're done with the form, and yes, it also goes out to the form itself, obviously being, as complete, as careful with your answers, being detailed with your answers in the form itself, for sure. But once you complete the form itself, you will have an option, all right, to submit all of these supporting documents. And whenever it comes to the I-130 petition, and actually we're gonna go, again, I will use this opportunity to demonstrate the navigation of USCIS, official government website, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. We're gonna go to forms, all forms, And we can either scroll down, it's all alphabetical numerical order, but you can also type in just 130 here and it will give us the petition for alien relatives. So we're gonna go here, scroll down, all of the information about the petition you can find here. You can find the forms, you can find everything you need, but we're gonna go to checklist of required initial evidence. And basically this is the evidence that establishes your status. It establishes the relationship with the beneficiary. It establishes the beneficiary's information, right? So we're talking about birth certificates, marriage certificates, all of that good stuff. And you will have, after you're done with the form I-130, you will have an option where you can submit all of that stuff, all of these copies of the documents, not the originals, the copies, upload them online and submit them with the application. You can technically skip it and then wait until USCIS requests these documents, but obviously it will delay time. You definitely don't want that. And this is what I mean by, saying where people submit their cases not at its strongest. Now, the reason why people do it sometimes in some cases is because they want to file the petition as fast as possible. And I mean, with probably just from this video you've seen already how crazy some of the processing times, how crazy some of these backlogs on the immigrant visa are. So obviously it makes sense for people to just file this form as soon as possible. But I would recommend, taking another week, another 2 weeks. The processing times are already crazy enough and backlogs are crazy enough, yes, but taking this a week, 2 weeks if you need to put together everything that is requested by USCIS first and then submitting it as one package instead of risking sending. Now they're not going to deny your case. That's the thing. That's a nice thing about USCIS. If they don't have something is missing out of your case whenever it comes to supporting documentation, they will just send you a request for additional evidence. That's really it. But you're opening the door, first of all, for the delays, because now it takes them to review your case and then determine that not enough evidence, send you a letter by mail, you're getting that letter, you're putting all of the stuff together, sending it back, and also you're opening a door for potential, some kind of miscommunication, something is lost on the way, something is not added to the file. We don't want to do that. That's why it's always best to submit everything in one package. All right, so I'm gonna put this here, and I think we are moving on to our very last comment, actually set of comments from Freddy Escobar, and we got some translations from Miriam Art. Miriam, thank you so much for these translations. I really appreciate it. Okay, so let's do it. So bunch of comments from Freddy that I can't understand, and there we go, some translation from Miriam. So basically he's saying hasn't even filed taxes because he doesn't have money and he needs help with all these turnabout. All right, translation from what I understand, he wants to start a business and wants to petition for 2 cousins that are studying to be lawyer, and he hangs them to study here so they can help him start his business. His question is kind of confusing because he mentioned that he doesn't have money, but he wants to start all these businesses and all these cities, and that's why he needs his cousins. Please help me to be able to do all these turnabouts. Okay, so Freddy, Miriam, again, thank you so much for these translations. I really appreciate it. So Freddy, I don't know if somebody can comment on Freddy's questions with my answer already translated for him. Again, I would really appreciate it. Miriam, I don't want to bother you, but if you can do it, that would be really nice. So whenever it comes to the form I-130, right, it's one of those forms where it is extremely, and I'm really glad that Freddy asked that, because we already had some similar comments. I'll probably make a separate video specifically on the financial aspect whenever it comes to filing the petition, all right, the I-130 petition. But I-130 petition for alien relative is one of those petitions where your financial situation is extremely important, all right? You just cannot neglect that fact at all. And I'm not just talking about the sponsorship side. Yes, of course, you can provide a joint sponsor, somebody who is willing, all right, to be financially responsible for your beneficiary. It's really hard to do. Not everyone would be, hey, I'll help you out, all right, unless you have somebody, who's a relative, who's a brother, sister, somebody who's, immediate family, who is willing, obviously, for someone who is also an immediate family to be a joint sponsor or on somebody's petition. But a lot of times we have to ask someone outside of our household, because think about this, if we already were making enough money within our household, then we probably wouldn't be in need of a joint sponsor in the first place, all right? So we are looking for someone who's willing to say, yeah, I'll take a financial responsibility for your beneficiary. It's not a very comfortable situation for you to ask somebody to do that and for somebody to do that for you, all right? If you have someone who is a good friend like this, consider yourself blessed if someone is willing to put themselves in a situation like that and say, okay, I will be a sponsor on this thing. But even besides all of that, even not getting to the NVC side, obviously you have the I-130 petition itself. And while I have this page open right here, we're going to actually look at the filing fee, and just the filing fee itself for one petition, if you're inviting one beneficiary, is $535. So let's say if you're, for example, petitioning for two parents, for your mom and dad, that is $535 multiplied by 2. And that's just the initial petition, because once you submit the initial petition, once the case is transferred to the NVC, there's a whole bunch of other fees that are associated. There is the visa application fee. There is the Affidavit of Support fee, which I believe is $120. If it changed, please let me know, because it's been a while since I've been in the NVC portal. Because like I said, I have myself a petition, alien relative petition pending. It's going to be pending for a very, very long time from now on. But all of these fees, obviously, you have to be financially comfortable to just, it's not a cheap form, not at all. It is very expensive. And then obviously, whenever it comes to being a sponsor, you have to show, the ability to sponsor. You are the petitioner after all. So whenever it comes to Freddy, it's definitely a tricky situation, because if you tax returns, whenever it comes to tax returns, it's one of the main financial documents that is being requested. The tax returns and tax transcripts, which is pretty much the same thing, but now they are putting more accent on the transcripts instead of the just the tax returns. So you definitely have to have that. You definitely have to have some kind of income. Can you get away without it? Yes, probably, if you have enough money to file these forms, and then you have someone who is willing to be a joint sponsor, which again is it's very hard to find. All right, somebody who would be willing to do that. So if you can do all of that, in that case, technically yes, you can do that. But again, whenever it comes to these forms, you do have to be financially comfortable. So if somebody can translate at least part of this information to Freddy, would really, really appreciate it. Thank you very much, everyone, for asking your questions. I hope my answers are helpful. If they are, let me know. It would be great. Just make sure to let me know in a separate comment, because when you respond to my comments, within your comments, again, I don't get the notification. So as always, thank you very much for watching. Always appreciate your time. God bless, and I will see you in the next video.